welcome to the BoyFriends podcast, where we help you find your circle and your man.
And your man.
Exactly. So today we're welcoming back Sarun.
Not bad.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're all here.
Yes.
Oh
my gosh.
It's been we haven't all been together since episode 2.
Has it really been that long?
Yes.
It really has been that long.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're here. So today we have a great topic to jump into. I think we should just jump into this one.
Yeah.
So the question is, why do I always feel like I have to prove myself when talking to someone new or when meeting somebody new? I think there are circumstances where when you're meeting somebody new, there's always a little bit of a wall where you can't really relate to them completely unless you pass a certain threshold. And I'm curious if you guys have that experience. Where do you guys fall on this?
Honestly, I think that whenever I'm are we talking friendship or partnership or?
I think it can really be. I when I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that first meeting between new people. So whether it's more of just a friendship, trying to make a friend or meet new people and make friends, or whether it's you're approaching somebody that you think could potentially be a romantic thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of the whole thing.
I think that whenever I meet someone new, I unconsciously kind of evaluate the person that I can be with them.
Yeah.
Even romantic partner or friend, I'm just okay, so what are you going to bring out in me? And also, what can I show to you that's not going to make you think that I'm weird or something like that?
I personally, I think this is something we all deal with, and it's something that we all do subconsciously. And so we send our representative, right, for us. And when I say we send a representative, we send that best version of ourselves. And am I fully standing present? Or am I sending a version of myself, my representative, to meet somebody new? And so you want to show your best self in the best possible light. And so we send that person forward. And so when you say, with the question at hand, that might have something to do with it. Sending our representative.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
For me, at first, I expressed that I didn't really fully understand the question. So when you gave the example of, how did it go again? Basically, you're saying when you first meet someone and they ask you, well, what do you do for a living? And basically, based on that answer, that's going to determine whether or not if this conversation is going to move forward. And I've definitely have had that happen to me before. Thank God I had a good job. But no, really. I think it's just pretentiousness, but it's also a little bit of what can you add to my life? And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. When you're looking to make friends or build relationships, what kind of value can you add to me? Now, I think where the problem comes in is where you feel like because you don't have this or this, now we no longer can talk. It doesn't mean you can't add value to my life, just maybe not in the way that I'm necessarily thinking of. And I think that's where the issue comes in.
Yeah, and I think the issue also comes in where there's an assumption of value based on who you are. So in my specific example, I said that, typically in, I guess, white gay spaces, if I am approaching somebody new and just trying to talk to them, there's always that little bit of a friction when just walking up to somebody new. I mean, typically in my case, I've gone to networking events where the point is to network, and it's you're not networking, you're not doing it. Why?
I totally get that. Whenever I'm in a room full of writers, I'm oh shit. Because around small groups of non-writers, I'm a good writer, but then when you're around other people that do the same thing as you and they're often more successful, you're how do I make my non-success sound as good as their success?
But see, there's an intimidation factor with that, and I think that's probably a little bit different than what I'm saying, where it's more there's an even playing field, but there's not really. I mean, like, there's all of those different factors that come into play, like, where are you from? Do you even do you even talk the same language that I do? It's that kind of thing. And then once they, give you the sniff test, then they'll start talking to you. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just, I don't know how to...
Sure. For me, it's the intention of the space first, right? Like, what's the purpose of this space we're in? I know for me, if it's a serious space where I have to be a serious person, I tend to goof off just because I think it's too serious. And I try to find individuals that aren't taking the situation as serious as everyone else, right? Yeah. So if it's like, I hate networking events because I feel like it's just for the purpose of the title, right? And you're only going to that space because you're trying to, gain something that's superficial. But if I'm in spaces where it's, I feel like I'm a naturally, I feel like I'm shy sometimes, right? So, but I think that depending on the space, what I propel or what I put off is definitely someone who can talk about whatever, like I'd rather talk about poop, for example, right? Like how's your day, right? And then like, how's my day? The poop came out really great today, and like it wasn't as bad as the other day. It was a little spicy, And if they vibe with that, then I kind of stick with that, right? Like I chill with them a little bit longer versus someone who's like they just. I work in XYZ. I do XYZ. I don't really, like a big dick competition. What's that? BDE, big dick energy situations. Like, I'm not into that. But there are times where you have to, right? There are times where you have to challenge other people because they're, I don't vibe well with people who like to degrade other people's because of their titles or whatever. So, and then that's when you bring out your own, like,
absolutely.
Okay.
Because I can be that person. I can show you.
Yeah.
Oh, but so the question, can you repeat the question, Jarrod? Why do I'm sorry.
No. Why do I always have to prove myself when meeting somebody new?
Prove myself when meeting somebody new. One, because I think we all have this imposter syndrome. We all deal with it in some type of way or another. And so when you have brought the whole thing up, maybe I don't have the accolades as much as you, but Jarrod was saying we're all on the same playing field. And so the age-old saying, first impressions are lasting impressions. And so you never get another opportunity to make a first impression. That also goes within it too. It's like sending my representative once again to have that first impression. Because if I meet... I'm not gonna pick on you this week. If I meet Sarun and I'm like, and I said this on camera, I said, Sarun, he's such a bubbly person and I like him. And Melvin was like, I don't think he, generally, wants to be always like, hi, But I think first impressions has a lot to do with it as well. Making an impressionable moment for somebody.
I want to flip the script a little bit. And so the question is, why do I feel like I have to prove myself? But we should really think, why do you feel like you have to prove yourself?
Honestly, I feel like there are some people who like make you have to prove yourself.
But you don't.
And I know that, but like sometimes, especially when you're in a new place, you can kind of feel that pressure. I really hope I'm not like off topic, but like I remember when I started working at this restaurant in downtown Philly, and everyone was just like, so like, I could not break through that wall of just like, hey, like, this is me. Like, I just want to like hang out. Like, I'm chill. They just wanted nothing to do with me from the very first meeting. Like, I barely even got to like, even get my first impression to them. They just, it was like very like cliquey, close circle. They're just like, yeah, you've been working here 5 seconds and we don't want to talk to you. And then after like months, they still didn't even talk to me.
But that's okay. So you're going to be in spaces where you just don't connect.
Right.
And where you're just not going to be with people on your level. On your level. So I didn't say you got to be on your level. Bring it back home to you. And it's okay. But I think sometimes we don't necessarily always feel that. Like, I have to be on Jarrod's level. I mean, because Jarrod has this and I want to connect with him and I want to be hunky-dory. No. Trust all that you are. You don't have to prove yourself. But sometimes we feel like that for some reason.
Yeah. I think it's like, for me, and I know I felt this before too, so that's why it kind of resonates with me. But sometimes it's about insecurities within yourself. You know that you don't feel comfortable about what you do for a living or what you're wearing.
Come on, Melvin.
Whatever it is. And so when you go into it and somebody says, well, what do you do for a living? You automatically feel like, now I have to prove myself. But it's not necessarily them. It might be you. And it's the vice versa. I think we all have those little things about us that we know. And when somebody hits that trigger, you feel, you put yourself, you get defensive, you know, and you feel like, oh, they don't like me because they're coming for me. But I think it's just, sometimes it's just conversation. Because there has been instances, and then there still are. Like, I lived in New York, and I remember I used to hang around these people. Oh, my God. And so they would always talk about fashion and like the latest designers and all this stuff, and that's not me. I'm not a designer type of guy. I like the way I dress. I don't think everybody does, but it's fine. Like, I like what I wear.
I think you look
cute.
So cute.
Thank you. You know, but these guys were like, if you don't have on Gucci or the Yeezys, which I don't even like Yeezys.
Oh, they're so ugly.
But you know, like, if you don't have that stuff on, then what are you doing? You know,
Exactly.
like, why are you here? And so I didn't really click with them, and so I just pulled myself out of the equation because I'm like, I don't have to wear that to, like, that I don't find fulfillment in that. So I was like, I don't have to prove myself to y'all, and I left, which is why I said what I said earlier about you don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to
I think
be in those spaces.
I think that, like, in that moment, it's just like, if you guys have ever worked in like the food industry, it works a lot better when you have like a closeness with your team. And so, like, when you don't have that closeness with your team, you're just laid out to dry. And you have to work like sometimes like 10 times harder. So I think it also kind of depends on the environment. I didn't want to be friends with those girls outside of work, but like, can you be just like a little bit more amicable? Like, in the space. But like, sometimes they're like, they put up that wall that like, you feel like you have to I felt like I had to constantly prove myself. And I didn't even necessarily like those girls. I still don't like you.
Damn.
No, I don't. Like, they were fucking rude. They were mean.
I hear you. Yeah, go
What
ahead.
about romantically? So is it the same when we would meet somebody new in a romantic setting or on okay, I'll just stick with romantically. Would it be the same proving myself in that point? Because I don't have to prove. I feel like I don't have to prove myself if it's just a hookup. I'm like, you know what you came here to do, like, you know. But if I'm just getting to like really know somebody, and I do want to put it on, and I want to lay it on thick, honey. I want to say, yeah, this is what I do, and you know, this is who I am. You might have heard about me in the Philly scene. You know, I'm one of the greatest therapists out here in Philly. You know, and I do lay it on thick because, in that regard, and getting to know somebody, I want them to see my best self. And like, I want them to be attracted to that. And so you'll see the best self, and you also going to, when you get to know, you're going to see the worst self. You're going to see the worst parts of me. But naturally, when you're first meeting in that type of setting, you want people to see that.
Yeah, and I think that that's okay to kind of, you know, put your best foot forward in those new connections. The problem that I find is when there's a judgment of somebody else because they don't necessarily meet your standards or something like that. Like I could come up to you, Tony, in a bar and just be like, you know, hey, what's going on, blah blah blah, and you know, there are times where and I'm not saying you particularly, but like in general, there have been times where people will just kind of like look down their nose a little bit for like the first 2 minutes of actually talking. You know how you will chat with somebody on like online, like one of those dating apps or something, and you get all these like one-word answers. Yeah. And then you say something that kind of clicks.
Like, oh, and now I'm more engaged.
Exactly. And so that's really what I'm talking. It's just like, that's the kind of, it's just like, okay, why do I have to go through all that for you to kind of give me just a general conversation? You know what I'm saying?
I would ask more so, in those spaces, and I want to be specific to you, do you feel like, so how do you know you felt judged? You know, I mean, you said you may have felt judged. What if that really was genuine? Like, I don't mean to judge you, but you felt judged.
I will think in my circumstance, I think it was probably a little bit of both. It was probably maybe, you know, my own insecurities in those instances. And I think for a lot of people out there is probably the same thing. Like, and it's just hard to parse exactly what is what, you know, because I will say personally, I have had a little bit of confidence issues with my career. I mean, like, you know, you'll go slide through Tinder.
Same.
Everybody's a doctor or a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, y'all can't all be doctors and lawyers on Tinder. So I'm like, I'm really trying to understand. Right. But, you know, it's just like, it's like you don't necessarily feel like you measure up in certain instances, and so there's this self-inflicted thing, but then there are also some instances where it's just like, can we just have a normal conversation without you being so like
inflated?
So do you feel like you exude that as well? Like when people meet you, do you feel like they have to prove their self to you?
I don't think so. I always try my best to be open and welcoming when people approach me. I try to be very cognizant of that. You know, and I will entertain people who I know right off the bat that this isn't going to be anything super special, or this isn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, and that's the thing. It's like, I feel like a lot of people feel like, you know, I need to know that I'm getting something out of this, or before I even talk to you. Like, we could just have a conversation. Like, you know, there are some times where, you know, you're just at the train stop and somebody starts saying blah, 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 and you just have a nice little back and forth, and then that's it. And I'm just like, well, why can't we just do the same thing in specifically when I'm talking
because
about,
it's not the same, and it won't be the same. Sometimes people are looking for an exact investment. How am I going to invest, and how are you going to invest in me? It will not be the same. Lighthearted conversations, if you're on a specific dating app or a social, you're looking for something specifically. So you're looking for an investment. And so you want to know, this is going to be worth my investment.
Okay, I hear you on that, but I feel like, you know, there's a way, I just feel like there's, like, everybody talks about how Grindr is so toxic, right? Like,
I don't think so. I think it's meant exactly where it's meant to be.
Yeah, but I just feel like, you know, I have had conversations with people that I know I'm like never going to meet up with you. So, but I can still, like, and I know that maybe there's some interest, but I just feel like we can actually have some sort of conversation. And when it gets to the point where they are like, oh, well, you know, can I take you out? And then I'll just be like, you know, no, I'm not really interested. That's okay. Exactly. And I feel like all you really need to do is spend 5-10 minutes chatting with somebody and really just validate their existence even.
We go.
And I just feel like really that's what a lot of people are looking for. I feel like people will be okay with that, just knowing that they were seen. But
is surface level, because surface level lighthearted conversations, you say, well, I just want to have a lighthearted conversation, you know, get to know. Is surface level, because somebody can assume surface level, if you're not going deep, it can be dismissive, it can be one word. Hey, maybe I'm just keeping it really surface level. Maybe I'm not the person to want to engage if we're talking about just lighthearted shit. You want to feel what I want to feel.
That was you had a feelings with right now.
When you having these conversations, I want to feel, you said
I want to feel like there's some sort of a connection. I want to feel like, you know, not validated. I don't know if I really need your validation. I think I just I
want to feel seen, I want to feel heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think
I want to feel like a part of this community. I mean, you know, it's just like, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that's really just what it is at the end of the day. It's like, I don't need to be your boyfriend. If you're not feeling me like that, okay, I'm cool with that. But, you know.
Can you get that on surface level, though? Can we really get that on surface level?
Get what he just said?
Yeah.
Get what?
What you want. First engagements, you know, simple conversation.
I think there's surface level, and then there's just like, you know,
dismissive,
hovering over the surface. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
it's like are you saying like, hi, how you doing? Keep it moving. That's like hovering.
I would say so. It's like, you know, when you're talking to somebody and then, you know, they're like looking over here and they're like half listening and it's just like, well, why am I even here? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering if where self-worth plays a role in this, right? And if where you place your your self-worth, you know, that's where you're kind of gauging the conversation and in the space. So if you're going to a space and your self-worth going in, for me, I'm always in spaces where people have masters, doctorates, and all this stuff. I left college in my senior year because of family issues. So I'm in these spaces with all these individuals, and they have these degrees, but I don't place my self-worth in degrees. I place my self-worth in what you currently do, right? Like a lot of times these people are like spitting out all these great things you did in the past, and then if that's not where you live, like I live in the present and what we're doing in the future, right? So like where are we going now though? What's the objective now in life? And if it transcends back into meeting someone in those spaces romantically, right? So there's multiple spaces that happen to have romantic partners. You don't have to seek out romantic spaces to be romantic partners. You can be in like a professional setting to find that romantic partner. You could be at a conference, you could be here, you could be there, right? So I guess that's my question is like, maybe it's the individuals where they're placing their self-worth that they really wish could be seen and appreciated.
Come on, sir.
You know, and then embrace that.
Yeah.
And when they don't embrace what you find worthy, you feel hurt in a sense a little bit or dismissed, you know. And sometimes that person, like, I feel bad because sometimes I am busy and I'm that type of person. Sometimes I'm in this, like, people catch me in spaces where I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And then I forget and like, I appreciate, so I always be mindful. I appreciate you. Let's catch up soon. I'm kind of frazzled, but at least I acknowledge that I'm frazzled. Yeah. So I'm wondering with self-worth, like what every one of us maybe where we place that self-worth.
Yeah. But I think we always seem to forget in these conversations, it is simply okay. Okay, not to have somebody be rude to you or be nasty to you, but it's okay if I'm not feeling you, if I'm not vibing out to you. It's okay, and I might be really quick or not dismissive, but light or very direct. Sometimes like, okay, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm all right. I'm cool. And I'm moving on to the next topic or next person. It's okay. Everybody's not going to give you that attention, or everybody's not going to give you what you seek and desire. Everybody's not your tribe. Romantically, friendship-wise, even fucking family, excuse me. That's sometimes your family ain't even your tribe.
Oof. I feel that one.
It's okay. So this connection, we always talk about these connections to certain people, places, and things. The connection starts with self first, and then outwardly.
Absolutely.
Inwardly, and then outwardly. When you know all of who you are inwardly, then people are attached to that outwardly. That's, I like this part about Renee because it's drawing me to Renee.
Yeah.
She got, so much shit going on with her. She's so popping, and it's like, I want to be popping too. It's like, I like my popping, but how do I get to that level of popping? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think just to, I guess, cap off that piece of the conversation, because I know you're probably going somewhere else with this.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I do think self-worth plays a huge part in these interactions, because I feel like when you come into contact with somebody who you may not feel is the most kind in a situation, if you're okay here, it really doesn't even matter all that much, because you're able to just quickly move on to the next thing. Right. And so, that would part of my advice would be to kind of get okay with who you are, and know that you're still good, and whether they are clicking with you or not, that doesn't devalue who you are. And
you definitely shouldn't like place your value on like someone else's perception of you. I've had to learn that lesson the hard way a lot. But like when I've gotten in the habit of just saying like, well, whatever, I'm awesome.
Exactly.
And like the more that I say it, the more that I believe it, because I'm just like, I am awesome. Like I'm so nice, and you just missed out on the nicest person. Like we were just talking about, like, I'm the kind of person that will like throw a Paris party in your backyard as a surprise because you wanted to go to Paris or something like that. So like you missed that. You like someone is gonna miss out on you being awesome.
Exactly. You missed out.
It's their problem. It's not your problem, because you're with yourself. So you shouldn't just like be out just to prove that.
But if you can't recognize it in yourself, how the hell is somebody else supposed to recognize it? Like, I know I'm dope. Yeah. Renee ain't gotta tell me or something. I know I am dope. I'm sorry. Hello? Listen, but when I know I'm dope, other people recognize your dope shit. You know what I mean? So, thank you for telling me. Yours is a bonus. Yours is plus. Thank you for telling me I'm dope. I know, and I fill
Thank you
myself
for
up
agreeing
daily.
with me.
And your journey matters, right?
Yes,
that
that's
entire
right.
journey you took matters, and that one person's not going to stop it. You got to keep moving,
It don't.
right?
Or
So-
should not stop.
Yeah,
it.
shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
It should not
you.
stop. But some
Yeah.
people be getting stopped in the tracks because of that one person
Yeah,
and that perception. So the whole question about why do I have to prove myself? You don't.
Oh.
You don't. And that's the end right there. I mean, you don't.
There you go.
love
Melvin, I know you had something to say though.
I mean, all I was gonna say was that I was just gonna throw another, I'm always throwing my little monkey wrenches in there. So I was gonna say that, do we all think that it's okay to have that on, like to make people prove themselves to be your friend? I think that we all do it in a sense. I think it's more so about how that comes across and making sure you're not condescending necessarily than saying it's not okay to make people prove themselves, because I think that's a thing. I think we would be lying if we're saying that you can go up to any and everybody and just have a conversation, because that's just not how life works. When you talk to people, you look for things in common, aka proving themselves, or whatever you want, whatever you're looking for to make this person my now friend or romantic partner. You look for those certain things within them. It's just more so about how you present it necessarily than
I just think there is a difference between like-minded people who have similar interests versus prove myself. Of course, I honestly don't believe the whole notion birds of a feather flock together type of thing. I don't believe that, because I have several different groups of friends, and that's what makes me unique, because I have this type of friendship for this type of friendship group for that, and so it's not like we're all the same either. And even in one friendship circle, you know how different we all are.
Right.
Even in the one that we all have.
right.
So I don't think that's a prove myself type of thing. It's just we have
So you would
similar
say
likes and we
it's-
have similar interests.
So you would say maybe it's the verbiage then, like instead of like saying proving myself, it's more so what do we have in common?
How do we connect?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, how do we connect? If I have no interest, no likes, no similarities, no connection, we're just not connecting.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't know that within the first few seconds of
You
meeting
don't.
somebody.
That's why I said if it's surface level, you can't feel. Oh, you can feel. You can't feel. I'm just gonna go out there. How can you feel some type of way if it really is surface level? You haven't got the deep shit to understand
the
my
thing
interests
is that
and
you
likes.
haven't even given me a chance to like connect, and that's the thing. It's like
okay.
It's like
okay.
you. I come up to you, and then it's like an instant no.
Oh.
Like even in person, they may not say no,
Okay.
but it's just like, okay,
I
I'm gonna let
see
you.
what you're talking about.
I'm gonna let you run your mouth until you get
now.
tired.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
If you're the kind of person that does that, like someone just approaches you and you're immediately just like looking at his like at the shoes, at like the haircut, like, like, do you even think that you can approach me? You're a shitty fucking person. You're a shitty fucking person. Like, that's not okay. You don't do that. Like, it's not about like what people are wearing or like what job that they have. It really is about the person that they are inside. And I know that sounds cheesy as shit, but like, yeah, you can't just go around like just judging people based off of material things, because that's not okay.
no. I also think part of the issue is, at least in the gay community, is that we don't know when we are approaching for like to try to like get with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't know when we're trying to come on to somebody or when it's just like a general like
Social thing, just being social,
and I think that messes us up, because I know sometimes I've walked up to people and they're always just like, and I'm just like, it wasn't even all that.
I was
Okay.
just
You're not even that cute.
I was just
Your
saying that
hair
you
is
had a
amazing.
spot on your shirt, but now you can just have that spot on your
Really?
shirt.
You look dusty.
I was just trying to let you know that you look really dusty today, but
Because I remember I was at one of the networking events in Philly, and I was there by myself, and I was trying to like talk with somebody, because I remember it was like a hot day outside, and I had worn long sleeves. I was trying to look cute or whatever, so I had like a long sleeve shirt on even though it was hot, and there was this other guy that was there. He had a long sleeve shirt on, and I was like, everybody else had short sleeves. I was like, all right, let me go talk to him. At least we have something in common, so that I can start there.
honestly, that's a funny thing to
Yeah.
bring
Right,
up.
that's like-
Honestly,
that's
I
So
would
I
think
was
it'd be
just like,
funny.
look, we're just trying to do the fashion thing today. How are you how are you doing? And they just looked at me like this for like a solid like 30 seconds and didn't say anything. And I was just like, okay. I mean, in my head, I was like, okay, bitch. I didn't say that. But I was just like, okay, he was like really rude. And it's like, it's those types of things where it's just like, okay, so like, you don't know what it is about yourself. I mean, and that's part of like, and probably in that instance, I probably should not have internalized. I had an issue with that internalizing stuff anyway in general.
It's really easy to internalize stuff, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, is it because I'm black? Is it because, do you think I'm trying to hit on you? Like, you don't know exactly what it is for that other person to kind of like immediately take 10 steps back.
Yeah. But I feel like that's again, like on them. It's not on you.
Yeah.
Which is so hard just to kind of, like really start to believe and understand that like when someone just rejects you half the time, more than half the time, like 99.9% of the time, it's on them and not on you. It's just their prejudice, their judgment. It really has nothing to do with you. It's just like who they are as a person, and why would you want to even associate yourself with the person? So it's like the trash taking itself out, honestly.
Going back to Melvin's question real quick, I think for me, I connect better. What I'm seeking for is a genuine moment, right? So whatever the moment we're having, whether it's a short conversation or a long conversation, if it's just a genuine, shallow, top, bottom, whatever. If I felt like, because when I leave, when I leave the van or the space, right? Like I want to that was a memorable moment with that person, right? That was great, and maybe I'll see them again later in the future, right? Just those genuine moments. It could be about hair, it could be about shirts, it could be about clothes. It's whatever, it's that be in my memory because most of the times when I do go, like when we all go to different conferences or whatever, it's those strangers we meet that I always remember, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just genuine. That's what I want to take away.
Conversations, exactly.
Yeah. So.
And it's like, and I feel like we can tell when the conversations are genuine and when they're just forced, or when the other person is just kind of throwing some words out and it doesn't really mean much anything. So yeah, I feel like we should have more genuine conversations. I feel like we should be open to that.
And I want to leave room for people are just weird. Some people are just, they don't know how to have conversations. They don't know how to be friendly. We live in 2021 where people literally living on the social media.
Yeah, they're socially awkward.
So people are socially awkward. So when you go up to someone and say, hey, how are you? They're like, you can just DM me or here's my page,
I mean, like, honestly, sometimes I do get like kind of nervous when like a new person comes up to say hi to me, like, oh, hi.
It's the difference from being nervous and like not knowing how to have a conversation.
It's funny. I've heard that a lot of people who are like Twitter famous, like they are really awkward in person, but like online, they're like this huge personality, or everybody likes and retweets their stuff. Right. So interesting.
I mean, and I'm not saying she's weird or anything like that, but she's said herself, Summer Walker. She's like, what did she say? Like she's like something. It's like something with being introverted. But it's like debilitating for her. Almost like she doesn't like to perform and stuff like that. But she's like literally famous. She just had like the biggest debut album on Apple Music.
Right.
So I mean, like we have to like leave room for people just being awkward, like, that's the thing. And then it's nothing about you, and it just means that person isn't for you, so let's just move on to the next person. Like, okay, you got that, you're not feeling me, I'm just go to somebody else.
Is there a fine line between awkward and creepy?
Oh my god, yes.
Very thin.
Yeah. I think creepy is when they're cringing upon you, and then awkward is like, just stay away from me,
All right. So, what would be some of the advice? Like, if we can just put like some bullet points out there.
I think we all kind of just agreed just to, like, if you feel like someone is kind of judging you, like, or is like standoffish when you like go to meet them, and then you're automatically like put in this place of like, do I need to prove myself? No, you don't. It's more on them. It's nothing on you. That's just like not the person you're meant to hang out with. Or maybe that's not the person you're meant to hang out with right now. They could be a completely different person sometime else.
Yeah.
The best vibe is a genuine vibe. You could be a low vibe, you could be sad, but you could vibe being sad together. Just be genuine about it.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if you see that quote on Instagram. Let me see. You were also talking about self. You also brought up the conversation about self-love or self-worth is actually what it was. So yeah, I think that is important as well, just to have, just to, I guess, what do they say? Like, fill your cup up, basically. Like, love on yourself, and you know, everybody else who's supposed to be in your life will kind of fall in line. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, do we have any?
You are already enough. This whole idea of proving you are already enough in everything that you stand in right now. Trust your enoughness. You know what I mean? And trust it.
Absolutely. Do you have one?
I was gonna give, like, if you ever feel like you're in a situation where you feel like you're proving yourself, number one, I would say look within yourself, making sure that this have nothing to do with my own insecurity. And then if you're good on that part and you still feel like you're having to prove yourself, then walk away. You don't. Just remember those two things.
And I guess to piggyback off on that is, like, you know, sometimes you're not in the right space, you know, and I feel like that's one of our recurring themes sometimes. It's like, sometimes you're not in the right environment to meet the people that you should be meeting. You know, if you're in the right place, it's always the right time. So make sure that you find the spaces where people are more accepting of the type of person that you are. So that would be my advice as well.
All right.
Yeah. Hopefully we helped you guys out.
Yes,
and remember, if you have no one else, you got us. See ya.
Yes, you do.